So, driving this car is actually surprisingly nice. The dashboard and heads-up, well, there's no heads-up display, but the dashboard is very clean. It's not minimalist per se. It's pretty flashy, and honestly, it's exactly the same as the standard Honda Accord. The only real difference is the little green LED indicators that are on the standard Accord that light up whenever you're driving economical. Don't turn on when you're stopped at a stoplight, and it doesn't matter. It's just something this car doesn't do, and I guess for good reason. If you're stopped at a stoplight and you're in a sportier car, the car might expect you to launch or something. It's up to interpretation, but that's how I feel about it. I don't feel about it. I don't care. I'm sweaty. Jeez. Do I really look that sweaty? Cut. I'm kidding. So another thing that I like about this car is the way it handles. Now you have a couple of options when driving this car. You have normal drive, you have sport mode, and then you have sport manual mode. Now the differences between these are very simple. Normal drive will reduce your RPMs, saving fuel, and will just overall give you more laid-back driving experience. The steering isn't as tight. The suspension is as tight because they can't really adjust that. It's not air ride, but it's just overall chiller to drive. Now that's not to say it isn't chill to drive. It's still tight. The suspension obviously still stiff because you can't change it really. It's just you don't get, when you step on the gas, you don't go flying, you know? It does, so yeah, it reduces the maximum horsepower output. Fudge, I'm burning up because I'm not running the AC because it's too loud when it comes across from on the phone. Anyways, as I'm driving along, I'll notice things about the car. I'll notice that it's very quiet. I mean, it's very quiet. When you're not listening to music and you're just driving this thing around, it is kind of eerily silent. You can still hear the road under you. You can still hear little bumps when you go over them. It's not like that quiet. It's just weirdly quiet. And this is coming from someone who used to drive a Lexus on a semi-normal operational time. Yeah. So overall, the driving experience, I'd say, is top-notch. The car handles very well, and it really feels responsive. So when you turn, when you drive a Lexus, let's just say the steering is very loose in any mode except for sport mode. Even then, the sport mode handling and steering sensitivity is probably that of this car in normal mode. And what's interesting about this little interesting fact is that it makes this car different to drive than you normally would think of how a car should handle. You take corners much harder. You just generally drive it more aggressive. Now it's taken some time, but I've gotten used to it, and I've stopped driving as aggressively. And it's not because I don't want to drive aggressively. It's just because it's kind of annoying driving aggressively because you get thrown around, and I'm just used to a looser driving experience. Moving forward from this point, the acceleration feels much better, like I stated, when you're in sport manual mode. Much more responsive, much better than just in normal drive. Now, that would make sense, it does make perfect sense. You'd think that the sport mode would be very quick to respond, and if anyone who's driven a manual car or a semi-manual, one of the cars where you can switch in between manual and, paddle shifters essentially, or one of like the little up and down things on the gearbox. So essentially what this does is it means I can be in second gear, the RPMs can be at 5,000, and the car won't automatically try to go into fuel saving mode. Meaning if I want to launch, all I need to do is put my foot down and the car will immediately take off. There's no waiting around for the transmission to catch up, essentially catch up to where the RPMs should be. So, where the RPM should be for optimal performance, which is around 6,800. And And that's actually where the CVT really does a good job. It will hold you, I swear, like 30 RPM from redline. The car never hits redline. It's incredible. And with this comes one of my gripes. That being that the car never hits redline. Even when you're in manual mode, the car will automatically shift up for you. And this really ruins the experience for me. Like, I'm driving along, right? I'm flying, let's just say. And I see the RPMs, I'm about to hit 7,000 and I'm about to redline. So I press the shift up button. But the car was also like, oh, he needs to shift up, so I'm gonna shift up for him. So the car shifts up with me. And now I've just shifted up 2 gears. And that's really obnoxious. So you might be thinking, well, yes, that is very obnoxious, but it probably doesn't get worse. It does kind of get worse. So let's just say you decide, I still want it to be in sport manual, because I still want that better acceleration and better control. I'll just maybe not shift up, let the car shift. I mean, it already does a really good job. It shifts you right at the end of your RPM limit. It already does a good job, so I might as well let it do that, and then I'll shift down when the time comes. Or I'll just shift up if I'm just, I'm not trying to go crazy fast, I'm just trying to go. And that doesn't really work as well as you think it would. You forget, I am not kidding, you forget to shift back down again. You come up, you're just driving along, right? The car is automatically shifting whenever it gets to like 6,700. You're zooming, and then you come up to a corner. You slow down. Let's pretend we're on a racetrack because that's illegal. You can't do that on a real road. You come up to a corner and you start to slow down to come around the corner, but you forget to shift down because you think the car is doing it by itself, and you don't shift down. And then you try to come out of the corner, foot to the floor, and you're in 5th gear instead of 3rd or 2nd, and the acceleration is much slower. That would be my main gripe about this car. Just the CVT transmission and its manual mode. Otherwise, I think the CVT does a really good job at doing what it's supposed to do. It's very economical, like you would expect a CVT to be, and it just does a good job at being a CVT. I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything special about it. It's, as far as all the forms I can find, it's reliable. It's just decent. I mean, sure, it can't handle like much more power, and I say much more as in like 150 more horsepower, because it's just not made for that. People have had the belts break and stuff, but then again, that's why you buy an automatic car, not a CVT. But I bought a CVT anyways because of the color of the car and because it's pearlescent white and it's beautiful, which is another thing I love about this car. But not everybody will actually have this in their car, on their car, I should say. The pearlescent white with the little paint flakes in it. Oh, it's just such a good color. I love it. And what's even cooler about the color is that when it's shiny, when it's clean, you look at it when it's in the sun, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful color. So I think that's pretty much where I'm gonna wrap this up. You got the gripes, you got the goods, but I'd like to leave you with something that I didn't say, and that's about the handling. The handling of the car is beautiful. I mean, it sticks to the ground. I'm not sure if I'm on factory tires or not. I haven't looked into it, but when I bought this car used, it's running sport tires, and I'm not sure if the car comes like that. But I do know they're really cool, and they stick you to the ground. I'm not sure if this car has really any special downforce capabilities, if the car has ground effect, if the car has really anything more than just a rear lip spoiler and side skirts. But side skirts normally lead me to believe that it does have some kind of ground effect at play, although I doubt it. The handling is really good, regardless. I mean, I might not be able to beat a Mustang in a drag strip, but you put it up against a Mustang on a circuit with a lot of corners, even fast corners, a Mustang will have difficulty. Of course, depends on the Mustang. but it'll still have difficulties when it comes to, maintaining its grip through the corners. Now, this car is front-wheel drive, but it doesn't feel that way unless you're trying to do burnouts, because it's a front-wheel drive car, and, well, if you know, then you know. If you don't know, then you don't know. But until then, let's say until next time, because the reason this video might feel rushed is because I am rushing it. I'm buying aftermarket parts for this car. I'm getting a cold air intake, and I'm potentially getting it tuned. So that means I gotta make the car review now. I gotta do it now. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm doing, that's what I did. So I'm gonna be coming out with a video. I've already ordered the part for the cold air intake. So that video is gonna be out after July 6th. That's all I know. It's gonna be after July 6th. And subscribe, bell. What else does they say? Oh, leave a like and a comment. Hopefully you enjoyed. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out.